Hey guys, so we've got Jake Abbott, who is a ex-pro rugby player turned CrossFitter turned whatever. He's basically an athlete that used to be an ex-pro rugby player. He's now becoming an online coach and coming over today. Now, I'm not going to go into his backstory and this, that and the other because I'll let him do that, but he's suffered pretty badly with depression, this, that and the other, and he's now pulling himself back out of it and basically decided that enough's enough. And I think having a pretty fruitful career in rugby, he now feels like he needs to do something a bit more fulfilling. He actually has just left a very well-paid job within the rugby community. Like I said, I won't go into too much details, but he's very comfortable, decent job, well respected, but has now decided that he wants to really start making an impact in the fitness world, and fortunately has come to me. And for the sake of transparency, as I keep saying to people at the moment, I want to keep practicing what I preach in terms of showing my processes. I get all my mentees to do the same. Look, there's so much skepticism online now, as I keep saying, and there's going to be a common theme in my most recent YouTube posts and also the future ones coming, that I think as service providers we need to now do our utmost to make sure that we are proving ourselves to our potential clients that we actually can deliver on what we say we can or what we're promising. So for example, the fact that I can help either personal trainers transition to online coaches or people just getting into the online coaching industry, I can help them generate clients and build a very comfortable business. And that's what I'm promising people, and I know I can deliver it, and I'm delivering it day in, day out for literally over 80 online coaches now. However, when I just tell people that, that's not enough anymore. And if you're a service provider, if you're an online coach, that's not enough. Telling people that they can transform their physique, they can do X, Y, Z, you can improve their confidence in a certain period of time. People have to believe you now. There's so many scammers out there, so many people taking people's money and not delivering what they're actually saying. So for the sake of transparency, we're taking Jake today. He's got 0 clients currently. This effectively is what I do on a weekly call. But obviously for the sake of camera, I'm just going to do it in person. So these are the kind of this is a strategy session that we have with our mentees. He's done his audit for me, which basically covers all of his, who he thinks his target market is going to be, who he thinks, or on the service he's going to offer and the price, and we'll be going through that all today, refining it, and then implementing his content strategy and his outreach strategy and his sales strategy starting from today. So we're calling this ground zero. He's on 0 clients. Going to kind of document the process. We're going to do a few videos in this series if we can. Obviously lockdowns make it a little bit harder, but we will document as much as we can and how I'm helping him. I can't show you absolutely everything, but I'll show you kind of the ins and outs. And obviously everyone that I help is bespoke to them. He's got his set goals, his set revenue targets. Not everyone wants to be a multi-millionaire. Some people just want to earn a few grand a month and be comfortable and have work 3 days a week and have time for their family, their other half or whatever. But what we do, or what we do at Limitless Mentoring, is structure the strategy based around his goals. So we get the goals, we reverse engineer back to where we are now and work out the game plan. And that's what we're going to start implementing today, and we're going to show that on camera as much as we possibly can. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy this and the coming episodes, and just see how quickly we can actually generate clients for people and ultimately their income.
Hi, my name's Elliot. Welcome to Limitless Coaching. Right, backstory. So obviously anyone who's kind of following me will know my suicide success story, but in a nutshell, trying to make this as short as possible. Essentially, ex-Premiership rugby player, played for England Sevens for a season. So I managed to survive 10 years. Always a dream from 6 years old to become a professional rugby player. And I found at 18, I always had this like law of attraction. Like, it didn't matter how small I was, how little skill I had. If I wanted to be a professional rugby player, I knew I could fucking do it. So 18 years old, got my first professional contract. And then I survived till 26, had 5 knee operations. I've had 2 ACLs, 3 arthroscopies. Torn labrum, like 4 missing teeth, multiple concussions. So came out of the sport at 26, went away to America, went on a bit of a mental health journey, like loss of identity, and then realised last year when found out I was losing my dad, that where was that identity I had when I wanted to become a professional rugby player? And also I've always used the vehicle of training and nutrition as my mechanism for coping. It was one thing I could control. It was within my control, along with my mind, that I could concentrate solely on that and hammer myself in the gym to continue building my physique, seeing progress, and in turn that just developed a mentality within me that made everything else better in life. And that's why, you know, the science behind training and nutrition, they're the single most important things together for mental well-being. And then towards the end of last year, I just realised I could start actually improving other people's lives, and the formulation of JA Physique and becoming part of Team JAP was the next step. And I listened to this famous quote from Tony Robbins that says, if you want the island, you've got to burn the fucking boats. And then I got in contact with Elliot, and I probably wasn't going to accept no to becoming part of his team as a mentee. And I've been quite strong in the view that I want him to take me from where we're at now, which is ground zero, to becoming one of his biggest earning, most successful clients. And that's not just to monetize something and sell people a product where you get it in your phone and then I'll see you later. It's actually, I need people. I will work tirelessly, and I need the affirmation of people telling me I'm doing a good job. So I will work so tirelessly to make sure that my clients will improve their physiques via the vehicle of mindset, the mentality, the accountability from me, the nutrition plans that are bespoke, and then the training guides based around their circumstances. So that's where we're at. We're just literally at ground zero. That's what applies to this with what I'm going to learn from Elliot today, and it's what applies to my business. We're just starting out, and we're on that journey from going from where we're at ground zero to being massively successful, transforming hundreds of people's lives via their physiques and their minds, and then personally going on the road to pro bodybuilding and getting onto the Olympus stage. Watch this space.
We'll kick things off actually. Before we go into details with what Jake's going to be doing, I wanted to mention this to him anyway, and anyone else that's in this space right now. And when Jake rocked up, he talked about it earlier. Mental health at the moment. My wife is actually currently working in GP. She just got back from her first day of maternity leave yesterday, and she spent the whole day dealing with nothing but cases of depression. Because of the times we're in at the moment, and a lot of people are struggling. I've spent my last week doing strategy calls with mentees who you would all look at and think these guys are the bollocks, they're killing it, they're earning very good money, yet they're all very, very, very depressed and got a huge amount of anxiety and struggles. I know you spoke about it the other day, you had a bad week, and everyone's going through it. I'm going through it.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that's not. So, from a coaching perspective, and the content you're going to start putting out right now is always about value for your target market. And nothing's more valuable right now than positivity and being someone that people can be magnetized towards, right? As a service provider, you're a leader, right? So as a leader, you need to set an example to everyone else that you're potentially, who's looking at you, not necessarily that's going to hire you, but just people in general. So even if you're struggling, it's okay for you to say that, but what you need to show to people is how to get through it and be an example of someone that can do it. So everything you're putting out right now needs to have a focus on that positivity. And also, it's okay. I put up a post yesterday on my story saying, look, it's okay to feel like shit at the moment. It's probably justified, right? Like, it's pretty understandable. Don't put pressure on yourself to feel good. Start creating an environment that will engineer a bit more positivity, some routine, some normality, because that's what we're all missing right now. And if you're selling a service like online coaching, like you're just about to, like as we're saying, Jake has literally just started his business, like we're calling it ground zero. Obviously, he's slightly different to the norm. He's obviously a blue tick knob. He's already got a decent following, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be doing anything different to someone who's starting with zero following. It might just mean that he's propelled slightly fast. I'm going to be completely transparent about that. Like, his results might not always be the same as someone else. The same as if your physique, two guys on the same diet will always look, or training plan will always look slightly different. The genetics are slightly different. So everyone's going to be slightly different. However, the stuff that we're going to be teaching him is fully applicable to absolutely everyone. I don't teach something. I only don't take on people that are going to do well based on their following. I take on people based on their work ethic and drive, because ultimately that's the dictating factor onto how successful you're going to be. The level of success you reach will be dictated probably by somewhat your attributes and who you are as a person. But everyone can make a very good living out of online coaching if they follow kind of the rules. And right now, regardless of who you are, what industry you're in, positivity, being a leader, showing people that it's okay to be a bit vulnerable, being and being able to empathise with people. Yeah. People look at you and go, this guy's a fucking robot. I can't relate to him whatsoever. He's obviously not depressed. He's obviously a bit tapped. It becomes very difficult to relate. And that's why we've got Jake to do his backstory, which he's just told you about, like, he's gone through the wars.
Suicide success, yeah.
Yeah, he's gone through the wars, and we've done that as partly because it's part of his story, but ultimately so people can relate to him and go, this guy isn't just some freak of nature. It doesn't come easy to you.
No.
It's
taken a fucking long time, yeah.
So, salesperson. So, but that all comes back down to understanding this person, the target market, right? So,
talked about the Halo method, that dream avatar, which I've got down
right.
here. Yeah.
So, briefly, if you want to kind of touch on who it is that you think your target market is, and kind of, do you want to just talk to me? I'll kind of.
Yeah, I'll talk to you. So, initially looking at men.
Yeah.
18 to 35 to 40, or 18 to 40 if we say.
Well, we'll say 18 to 35.
18 to 35,
right,
quite
so
targeted. Yeah.
Quite
So
specific.
these are blokes that have an understanding of training. They've been using the gym for a while, so they don't need kind of like onboarding and
we'll call them intermediate.
Yeah, intermediate. They're into their bodybuilding. They've been training. They've taken supplements. You know, things like they know about creatine and protein and higher protein to break down muscle tissue, build themselves. So they've got an idea of what's going on. They're looking for the next level. Like, what is the barrier? Why have they not? Why are they still unhappy with their physique?
Okay, so we've got males at intermediate level, age 18 to 35, probably half decent shape.
Yeah.
Right, that's the shallow aspect.
Yeah.
What's typically their biggest emotional drivers that you can think of? What's making them tick? What's making them get in the gym every day? And what's making them go, I need some help?
Okay, wow. Social pressure.
Social pressure.
What they're seeing online, what they're looking at on Instagram.
Let's get specific. So what are they seeing online?
Ripped guys, like influencers, basically.
Okay.
Gymshark, Mike Thurston, anyone who's they're hammering like that they follow already based on the fact that they look fucking good.
So
they look good.
You mentioned a name there, Mike Thurston.
Yeah.
I'm doing this so we can start. This is how I go through things. So Mike Thurston, obviously, I know who he is.
Yeah.
Living it up. Great physique.
Yeah.
Very aspiring guy, kind of Gymshark-esque. That kind of.
Yeah.
So when people are looking at him, they're kind of getting a bit of a glass window effect. Whereas they're like, okay, this guy's natural, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little bit shitty about myself. He's a good-looking guy too.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot going about him. So they're looking at him going, I want to be like him. And the reason I name names like this because going down the line, when you're writing copy, you can even use his name in your copy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When you start, if you ever get to the ad stage, when we start targeting audiences, if people have got a big enough following on Facebook, you can actually target them as an interest.
Yeah.
So the more specific we can be with like who it is that we're targeting and what it is about who it is that we're looking. So guys are looking at this guy.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a great place to suddenly start looking at, okay, we can look at his followers, right?
Yeah.
Go onto their profiles and start, and then also how they're engaging on his profile, what terminology they're using,
exactly,
how are they talking about him, what are they saying, so they go, oh fuck, I love the way you do this, I love the way you're, like they'll say, mate, your abs look good, your arms look, what is it about, oh your tan's insane.
That's it.
All of a sudden you can start building a very good idea about who it is that you're targeting. So then when you start trying to sell to these people, you know their emotional triggers or what it is that they ultimately want.
Yeah. I've got my guy.
I've just noticed that Jake is actually, so I've sent him all the tasks already for the first week, which basically part of it is obviously specifying your target market, and I've given an example of how to draw an avatar.
Yeah.
This is why Jake is going to get a lot of clients, because he listens to what I told him to do. I'm not being big-headed.
Yeah.
I know what I'm telling you works. So people that don't do this, and a lot of people that I mentor do it, they do really well, and the ones that don't do well. Right, offer. Lay me out your service that you think you're going to push, and give me the reasons why.
Yeah, so I've worked a little bit on, you've mentioned about building trust. So the first way, if I kind of reverse backwards, so the newsletter is at the start and there's a free 2-week at-home training plan there. So giving something out that people can work towards and ascending that in a transaction model down to there's something for free, then you book your strategy call, eventually going to a one-to-one service with me. Within that strategy, you've got weekly check-ins, progress pictures, weigh-ins, a completely bespoke meal guide, a completely bespoke training guide based around what you need. For the one-off payment, we're looking at direct debit, so there's no quick fixes. Don't want to sign up people for like 8-week shreds. I think that's bullshit.
So you've got, for the main plan...
The main plan, one-to-one service, £100 a
weekly
month.
check-in.
Yeah.
I'm just going to abbreviate. So, and that's what, is that via phone? Is that via...
Yeah, so remotely done via Zoom or...
So you're going to do Zooms as well, okay.
Yeah, I like video calling.
Okay, you're going to have to pay attention to this, because if we get you up to 100 clients, you can't do 100 Zoom calls a week.
True.
Right? So what we have to.
So this is like per person per month type situation again.
Well, so what we need to do is, I'm very much an advocate of when you're starting out and you're being fresh, over provide for the value that you're charging.
Okay.
Because we're trying to build a reputation.
We can do
there.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think when you're building validation, you're trying to build a name for yourself. It's always good to over provide to start with, and as negative as some people might say it is, start pulling back on some of your time allocation per person as you start to get more known. We may need to adjust this quite quickly because this might become very time consuming for you.
Yeah, I'm feeling like already it's where it's at, it's going to become overwhelming.
Yeah, because the first thing I'm going to say to you is, like, if we get you 50 clients, how are you going to handle? You won't be able to do 52 clients a week. Right, and we can get you there very quickly. Yeah. So I'm instantly thinking maybe do a Zoom call to start with a new uptake, and then refine that down to maybe like a check-in once a week or 2 check-ins. You'd be better off almost doing 2 check-ins a week via email or whatever service you want to do than doing
even things like voice notes. Like the form is online, it's a Google form you fill in.
Well, one thing I've found is that when people have voice notes and video calls, although it sounds good on paper,
opens up dialogue.
Yeah, well, people want, like you and I, we quite often, we'll have to refine the service as you get feedback from your clients, is that some people find that they just want to know what the fucking macro changes are and why. Yeah. So they just want to see it written out. They want to say, right, okay, change your carbs to this, change your cardio to this, do this, do this. When they have to listen to a 15-minute voice note to take out that information, sometimes, it depends on who they are as a person as well. Some people might just want the mental boost, they might want to talk, but you need to just be careful on your time allocation because we're going to drive your clients up very quickly. Yeah. So you have to bear in mind that, especially you just said £100, right?
Yeah. Full service.
That's very cheap for that.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
Good. This is what I was going to ask you. You know, I need to know where my level of value is at.
Well, okay. So straight off the bat, how many calls do you really think you want to be doing a week? Let's say you had a Zoom call, and some of them are going to run longer than you think. Yeah. So let's say you said half an hour. They're going to probably run over to 45 minutes. So you probably have to book off an hour per call. Yeah. Okay. So we could get you realistically to 50 clients within probably, let's just say we could get to 50 clients within 2 months. Yeah. I think we could do it much faster than that, but let's just say. So you're going to be potentially doing 50 hours a week. That's a full-time job. Yeah. Well, how are you going to do your content production? How are you going to do everything else?
Yeah. How am I going to live? Trying.
Right. And that's only what? That's £5,000 a month. Yeah. Capped.
True. Yeah.
This isn't sustainable.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, this is what everyone should be doing when they're mapping out initially like a bit of business plan. This is why we're doing this before he's hitting the trigger. Because the amount of people, because what we're just about to find out is, I'm guessing, that his initial price that he's going to charge with the amount of hours he's going to do probably wouldn't enable him to hit the target properly. Yeah. And with a few tweaks and adjustments, bang. And if you start off on the right foot, he can power into it. Yeah. Don't want to get to a point where he's got 50 clients and going, I'm halfway through to my revenue target and I'm burnt out, I can't do any more. Yeah. So getting it all properly structured and then obviously getting the content strategy and the sales strategy where we can hopefully tweak this and get you a lot more than you hope you're going to get. It's just easy due diligence that needs to be done. Because we're kind of talking about it at the moment. So, when you're on the phone call with these people tomorrow, if you haven't already done the pre-frame, which I class as DMs, we'll go into this in slightly later weeks. Yeah. You've got so much stuff to talk about, so I don't want to overload you. Right, let's get some feedback going first. But sales calls. Remember, no one gives a fuck who you are, what you're about. They care about themselves and their own problems. Yeah. They only ever want to talk about themselves on a call. Yeah. They don't care who you are. They don't care about your goals, unless it's relevant really to how it's going to help them. They only care about themselves.
Yeah, don't try and sell your product.
No.
Let them
inherently, people only care about themselves. So what you do, how can I help? Right? And then listen. I do a little speaker. That's the worst speaker I've ever seen in my life.
Right? You should, I think, drop all of these businesses and become artists.
I actually got to get it up.
Drop all your businesses.
I've actually got to get it up. It's not on the whiteboard. Right, so how can I help? Listen. Right? And the only talking you're doing on that phone call is if they don't go deep enough into their emotional triggers, you asking more and more questions. Mm. Right? That is your sole goal. Yeah. Because that basically, the whole time they're talking, you're there with your notepad, you're writing down trigger points. And if you're not getting them, you're asking more questions to get out of them. Like you say, how's your relationship going? How's your wife feel about it?
Mate, I've literally been 2 yesterday, mate. We went right in with people, down right into his insecurities, right into like the bits he wants, the way.
Quite often, the biggest problem you're gonna have as a salesperson is not being able to get that out of them. That's the key.
Yeah.
That's the key element. Is like asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And if you can't get enough, you don't drop your service and your price until you've got that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, you won't be able to. Because when they go, how can I help? They basically will just offload quite a lot of the time. Sometimes they don't, but you're going to get all that information out of them. You just listen.
Yeah.
Your job is then just to listen, let them talk.
Yeah.
Get them feeling comfortable talking to you.
Yeah.
And then, maybe every now and then you can empathise with, oh yeah, I went through the same thing, this, that and the other.
Yeah.
Whatever, general social skills. And then you come to the sales part, which after they've spoke for 15 minutes or whatever, you had a bit of a discussion about their goals, their problems, this, that and the other, their emotional, deep underlying factors. That's when you talk about, okay, you start laying out a strategy that you would implement within your service. You say, look, okay, I do weekly check-ins, but what we're going to do is, because we're going to do a recomp phase for you to start with, because it's so important to get you to this point because of the emotional triggers.
Perfect, yeah.
This check-in will cover X, Y, Z for you. So you pull in how your service is going to really get them to their goals and whatever. So you've got a generic service, but talk about how your service is going to be cultivated to get them to where they need to be. And you start putting down some of the strategies. So first week, what I think we'll do is we'll do that. Second week, like the same when I talked about you about the mentoring, we'll do an audit week. We'll then go over their content strategy. Right, so then in their head they go, okay, I see the path. Like for example, at the bottom of every single main post you do, always just say DM me. Just little triggers. Like a lot of people do this, but you'll be surprised that it makes such a difference when you just give that trigger to someone to message
all the
you.
time, what about putting it at the top or?
Normally, you want to you're selling whatever it is that you're trying to get them to do. Yeah. So you always want to remind people to reach out to you and have conversations with people.
So just when it comes to like content, just jump in there. Like I look when you talked about competitor research.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with looking what other online coaches are doing. Like how they're doing, what's giving them traction.
Should be.
Steve, biceps, 2 arrows towards it.
Did you see how well that posted?
Fucking mate, 104 comments. Right, so I was like...
Do you know, he and I both did that post together.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
He did one before, and I said to him the biggest issue was the image.
Yeah,
it doesn't align with you properly. So you saw the
because
second
it was
one
native. It was fucking native, and then you put just like you talked about in your YouTube video about like putting an X on there or something with an arrow. That's not like this fucking professional promo video that just says there's something. There's a call to action in it. Pointed at the arms. You know that client lingo. You talk about your avatar, your dream audience. They want bigger arms. Of course they do.
Well, that's
so
what
fucking goes fancy. Yeah. So straight away, I looked at that and I was like, I fucking noted that. And then I look at all of the people in the local area, what Joe does, and then even anyone that's a part of your mentee, I follow them. So every single person I see, I follow them. And it's not because I'm trying to outdo them. I just want to know how they're doing it and why they're doing it. Yeah, of course I am. Yeah, well, of course I'm competitive.
It's healthy to be competitive.
You know that I want to be your biggest fan.
Yeah.
And I'll do everything to be that. So I look at things and I.
While the mentee's watching that.
Yeah, good. That's
fucking. Keep it working.
Yeah.
I love competition. You're an athlete.
Mate,
I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
You always do better when you're competitive.
Yeah, I'm elite level. Like I will fucking work harder than anyone. So
you'll always do better by being competitive.
Yeah. And I write things down like fear of failure, mindset, momentum versus velocity, analogy of using a bad builder, discipline versus motivation, dramatic transformations, like morals and ethics, like what is periodization, get bigger legs. So I just write as soon as I get it, as soon as I see it, I write it down.
So for example, you could do a story that's discussing that. Yeah. And then being like, have you implemented this in your life? Do you know how to implement this? So ask a question. So I found another good thing to do on these polls and these stories to get good questions. Maybe talk about a slightly more complex topic. Yeah. Like, for some people that might be reverse dieting. And then you could ask a question, you could talk about it and be like, do you know how to reverse diet? Yeah. And people are like, nope. Okay, dive into the DMs. Yeah. It's real simple stuff, but it needs to be in line with your target market. It can't be irrelevant. That's why Steve and I picked his arms, because I was like, I know for a fact people are looking at you because they want your arms, because you've got great arms. So obviously that was just an easy one. Yeah.
I already know I'm going to pick my legs because of ex-rugby.
Yeah.
Good set of quads. So there's one.
So that was
same way.
Yeah. So you've got all of these content that you want to lay out, but it's how you put it across and how you structure it. So
talking. Yeah.
And how you sell that post or to sell. So each piece of content should have its own action, whether it's to create motivation, whether it's to get someone in the DMs, whether it's to just validate you. So when you put a piece of content online, always try and think about what's its purpose. So many people just throw stuff out because I need to post today. You've got, best way to think about content, your target market is at point A, right? So this is your little dude. He's actually unhappy at this point.
More good drawing.
Well, he was happy and he's unhappy because right now he's at point A.
Yeah.
Right? And he's trying to get to point B. So actually, he is a big happy man. Right? We'll give him some arms and legs because we've got some big quads. That's probably what he wants. And some big arms. Right? So basically, our little avatar man here is currently at point A and he's trying to get point B. Every piece of content that you're putting out, if you try and think about, am I moving him along? So, okay, what issues is this guy having right now? Is it mental? Is it mental? Is it knowledge? What is it that they're struggling with? There'll be a multitude of those things. There's probably a million things that you could implement in your content strategy that'll move them to from A to point B. Now, what a lot of people do is they'll just throw content up for content's sake, not thinking about, am I actually helping this dude or this girl move along this journey?
So you're creating a timeline of content.
Yeah, so you're creating a path.
A path, yeah.
They're trying to get to this point B. And if you help them move along through your content, it might just be a matter of being positive. They might be feeling negative right now, and that might be stopping them from getting to their goals, right? And if they start to move along this journey from the content you're putting out, you're building goodwill. And what I mean by goodwill is these people will feel like they owe you something because they've taken from you. You've not asked for anything in return. You're building goodwill.
Building trust.
You're building trust. Because
they
so now they can start believing in what it is that you're saying that you can do for them.
Yeah.
And you're validating, which kind of they're interlinked, but you're validating that you are actually a good coach. You are able to do what you say you can do. Now, when you then start implementing call to actions as well, because this is obviously the content, this is a value-based strategy, but then within that you're going to be having a few more salesy pieces of content where you're saying, look, drop me a DM, book him for a call, do this, that and the other. Now they'll get much less engagement, but if you've been doing this well,
you've created the traction.
You've created the traction to get them on those calls, get them on those.
And that's why I think this influx of people calling, we launched the website yesterday, and the Canley link blew up.
Yeah. Because you've been building the traction.
Literally because of honesty, and that's why my USP, we talked about mindset being the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I can fucking empathise from suicide success. I know what it takes to be unbreakable. I know what it takes to really overcome hurdles in life. So that's why that's a hard sell for me, and what's something that I truly believe in. And I built that through, I posted about mindset and things I learn and read and do, analogies, people, every single day throughout January. Because I knew, A, I want to fucking help people, and I want people to know my story, but B, because I knew in February I was launching this business, and I knew if I fucking continued that journey and kept hammering the same thing each day, that I'd build traction.
Well, right, obviously I'm not going to go into the exact pieces of content that we're going to roll out together, because you've got to pay for that. But obviously it's not because of that, it's because I can't actually fit it all in, but we'll discuss that anyway, like some more specific pieces of content. But once we start rolling it out, what we'll do is, like I say, I mentioned it downstairs. For everyone else, look at me, I'm like a teacher. Got my whiteboard on.
That's a hand up now.
We talked about this. I have my AAA method. So, action, analyse, adjust. So, you're going to be coming up with a content strategy that we're going to action sooner rather than later. And I know you said like quick to fail is another analogy to put. So we're quick to action an idea. Then we will quickly analyse how that idea went. And then based on the data and the feedback we get from that, we can adjust it and make it better. Now, this is a vastly better approach than you and I sitting down for 4 weeks, planning out content strategy and refining it before we've even launched it, because people always vote with their engagement. And we don't ultimately know. We can have a good idea of what we think is going to engage well, but we don't know until we action it. So we may as well get it up there, throw it at the wall, see what sticks, and then adjust our strategy based on what's sticking, what's working. So AAA, and so we'll roll out a load of stuff, and then we'll be feeding back. You'll be going, okay, that didn't work, that worked, that didn't work.
Important to evaluate.
And you and I will sit down and discuss, okay, we need more content like that, less of that. Well, let's adjust that because that seemed to work quite well. Let's try this, that, and the other based on what we put out to start with.